This is Kevin Kennedy with TAC News, the electronic newsletter of the Texas Association of Counties. Property taxes are a sensitive subject for Texans, counties, and members of the Texas legislature. Representative John Otto of Dayton chaired an interim committee that looked at the operations of local appraisal districts. He is proposing 4 different bills with the intention of improving the property tax system. Representative, what can you tell us about the legislation?
Well, as you said, there are 4 bills. And originally there was 1 bill, House Bill 2, but I broke it up into 4 bills for the purpose of trying to keep the bills clean and not let it become sort of what we call a Christmas tree, where it would be subject to a lot of amendments. House Bill 8 is a bill that deals with the property value study that so many people are familiar with. Currently, the Comptroller's Property Tax Assistance Division comes in and annually does a property value study on each school district within the appraisal district. If you don't pass that, then there are repercussions that are not good. And it's been seen as sort of a club over the head of the appraisal districts. And House Bill 8 will basically move that to every other year. It still needs to be done. It's a valuable tool. But in the place of that, in the year you're not getting a property value study, we will begin to do an audit of methods and procedures, some oversight on and trying to bring consistency to appraisal districts.
You've been quoted as saying that you're concerned about what you call condemnation by valuation. Explain what you mean by that.
During our interim study, we had quite a few examples of people who received appraisal notices where their residential homestead was all of a sudden being valued as if it were commercial property because of what was going on in the neighborhood or in the area. House Bill 3613 that I have filed deals with that issue, and it also requires a constitutional amendment. What I'm trying to do in that bill is basically, if you have a residential homestead, we're going to take away a criteria called highest and best use. And that's the only criteria we're taking away. And we're saying if it is a residential homestead, value it as a residence, not as a commercial piece of property. And it's the land values that we're escalating. We saw one instance where a lot value went from $30,000 in 2007 to $300,000 in 2008. Now, even though there's a 10% cap in place on residential homesteads, that person is still looking at a 10% increase probably for the rest of the time they live there if they get some kind of increase. So it's not going to apply to second homes. It's not going to apply to rent property. It is only going to apply to a residential homestead.
Okay, and you proposed a constitutional amendment to allow counties with shared boundaries to form joint appraisal review boards.
Yes. That's House Bill 3611. And my reason for doing that, I come from a rural area. And sometimes it's difficult to find qualified people that are available to serve on appraisal review boards. The purpose of this bill is not to mandate, but to allow 2 adjoining counties, 2 adjoining appraisal districts to pool the talent and form joint ARB panels. Again, it's permissive. It's not mandatory. I just think that if anytime you can improve the quality of the people available to serve on an ARB, you improve the system.
Do you see a need to increase the use of binding arbitration in property value disputes, and if so, how?
We currently have binding arbitration for property that's under $1 million in value. I personally went through binding arbitration on a piece of property I own this past year and was very pleased with the process and the outcome. One of the things that's not in my legislation, but I have joined Representative Mike Villarreal and joint authored a bill that's going to do what we call an expedited, lower the cost. The $500 fee we think is a hindrance. And so if the property owner can agree to a 1-hour presentation by him and a 1-hour presentation by the appraisal district, we're going to offer a reduced fee at around, I think, $250, which will encourage more homeowners especially to take advantage of that process.
Representative, we're more than halfway through this current session of the legislature. You said early on that you want these bills to hit the floor and stay clean, not become Christmas trees. Of course, the counties are very concerned about cap amendments being added. How confident are you that that won't happen?
Well, of course, the reason I broke House Bill 2 up into 4 separate bills was to keep them clean, and I think my captions are pretty tight. But obviously, I need the people, the members of your association, the county judges, the commissioners, tax assessor collectors, to contact their local representatives and senators and ask them to help me keep these bills clean. I've got pretty widespread support for these bills. In fact, I'm not aware. We've been running our traps. We've been meeting with anyone that might have opposition, and we haven't found any yet. But I do need help in making sure we keep these bills clean so that they can get through and become law.
And is there anything else you'd like to add?
The only thing, there is one other bill that it's a pilot program, and it deals with urban counties primarily. For property owners over $1 million in value, you currently, the only appeal you have is to district court, which is an expensive undertaking, and it's expensive for the appraisal district as well. I'm going to start a pilot program that includes Dallas, Tarrant, Travis, Bexar, El Paso, and Harris County, where if your property value is over $1 million in value, we're going to set up an appeal through the State Office of Administrative Hearings, where you will go before an administrative law judge, similar to what we do in other types of tax cases. And these administrative law judges will be required to get the required background or necessary background in appraisal methodology. They'll have to be familiar with cost approach, income approach, determining cap rates. So they're going to have some experience and knowledge when they start hearing these cases. The thing I'm excited about this pilot program is over time, over the 3-year period of the pilot, we will build up a base of knowledge and expertise at the SOA office, and I think it will provide good training material for ARBs in the future.
Thank you, Representative Otto. Thank you for joining us here on TAC News. Representative Otto's bills are expected to be considered by the House Ways and Means Committee in the next week or so. Please contact your legislators to express your opinion on these bills. This is Kevin Kennedy, TAC News.